Hi everybody, Joe Goodman from Goodman Games here. Today we have an update for the backers of the Terror from the UnderDeep crowdfunding. We have the printer proofs in and they look fantastic. We're posting this publicly so that everybody can see it because some of what we've done in this crowdfunding is to develop new ways to present box sets. Typically we post printer proofs on the crowdfunding pages and sometimes do private videos. But in this case, some of the things we're developing for making deluxe box sets I think will apply to future crowdfundings. And frankly, as far as I can tell, are fairly new and perhaps unique in the industry in terms of development of making box sets even cooler. So I wanted to post this publicly so everybody can see what we're doing with Terror from UnderDeep and for future crowdfundings where we offer these box sets, and we do have some plans to do that. People can see what those production values actually mean. So this is Terror from the UnderDeep, I was going to say the basic box set. It is huge. It's an amazing box set with 4 books, 3 poster maps, punch-out tokens, all sorts of incredible stuff inside. But what makes this even more special is this is the Deluxe Clamshell box, and this is the printer prototype that I just got in. We've showed white versions of this, with no ink, just the cardstock in the past. We now have the production sample, which looks amazing. So I'm going to show you in a sec a lot more detail. It has foil, it has metallic ink, it's got a clamshell design, it's got printing on the inside with maps. It really turned out fantastic. So I'm going to show you this in detail now, but I wanted everybody to see some of the stuff we're developing and how it may, actually probably will apply to some of the box sets we're planning for the future. Now let's dive into the specifics. Let's look at Terror from the UnderDeep. Now, for those of you who don't already know, this is a 5th edition box set. It's a giant adventure. You travel across the land, then you travel through the Underdeep. You battle the giants on the surface, slowly make your way into the Underdeep to discover the sinister plot by Underdeep cultist Kuatoa and an evil psionic kraken at the end. So it's an amazing, it's a really cool adventure, and it'll send you your 5e characters on what'll probably be months of real-time adventure. It has 4 books inside. Book 1 is the GM's Guide. Book 2 is Attack on Giants Part 1. Book 3 is Attack on Giants Part 2. Book 4 is Into the Underdeep. And by the way, what I'm showing you here are printer proofs. So these are the covers and what the covers will look like once they're cropped and bound. These will eventually be real books, but if you're wondering why these don't look like books, that's because we're still in the pre-production stage, and later on they'll be, folded, bound, cropped, etc. Anyway, you have these 4 amazing books inside the box set, plus 3 poster maps, die-cut tokens, so on and so forth. If you backed in the crowdfunding, you'll also get this bonus book called Unearthed Lore, which has a ton of additional content. And then the crowdfunding also had a number of add-ons, like 5th edition fantasy number 31, Idols of the Rat King. This is published for 5th edition. And actually, I don't have it here, but if you back the crowdfunding edition, you get a version with foil on the logo. The retail backers just get the sort of color printed copies. 5th edition fantasy number 32, Lost Vault of Sathsar Row. 5th edition fantasy number 33, Sailors in the Starless Sea. And then 2-page Underdelves as another add-on. And then, of course, we had a couple hardcovers, Compendium of Dungeon Crawls Volume 5, Embark on Adventure, and Compendium of Dungeon Crawls Volume 6, The Adventure Continues. So this is all part of the greater crowdfunding. And that's partly just context to explain this to people who may be wondering what exactly is in this set. Here I have the 2 boxes. And they turned out awesome. I'm going to show you all, because this is a 5th edition box set for scale, I'm going to use the 5e monster manual so you get a sense of just how big these boxes are. They are massive. They hold a ton of content. Like you said, 4 books, tons of poster maps, etc. But let's look at the differences between the 2, the clamshell edition and the regular edition. First, you can see the foil. I will tilt this so you can see it better on the clamshell. Hopefully that comes through. It's really cool, the mirroring of the foil. And the clamshells are much more expensive. You'll understand why in a sec. Here we have the edges. You can see we're using metallic inks. They have a bit of a sheen to them. On the clamshell edition and on the regular edition, it is printed in traditional 4-color ink. So on the spines, they look like this. Bottom, top, you have that. When you open it, the traditional box looks like a traditional box. It looks really cool. It's actually, we use a very thick cardstock, so it's very durable. And it has a plain white interior. For the clamshell, this is where we kind of went all out, and this is actually going to cost us more than I expected from the original printer quotes because we added a lot of bells and whistles, but it looks amazing. This is the interior. What you're seeing here, this is not a book, this is not a map, this is actually a printed interior to the box. So the box interior is actually printed. In addition, we have these elastic straps. So as the GM plays, if they have notes or want to mark up a page in the book or something like that, you can use these to hold the materials however you really want. You have here two of the maps that are important in the adventure. These are also printed on poster size. I think it's 22 inches by 17 inches folded up inside the box. But the GM will have here a quick reference for them, and this stands up, so you can use it as kind of a de facto GM screen. So this really turned out amazing. We have already committed to the print run with the printer, but if there's a lot of demand from backers, we might be able to get some small adjustments to that. Usually within 10% you can pull off. So again, part of the reason we're showing this now is because the pledge manager is open, and some backers might want to upgrade now that they see how amazing this turned out to be. It really is fantastic. So this is the clamshell box edition. Well, look at that. You can see the foil on the logo really well from this angle. And it is, if I remember correctly, $20 more than the regular box. And I want to show you one more thing too, which is the process of actually making this. So we'll pause one moment and return in a sec. So now I want to talk a little bit about the production process. If you've been a follower of this crowdfunding, you have seen the updates along the way where we showed you each of the different stages, the printer's dummies, the proofs, and the physical proofs. I want to show you how all these come together. This is really kind of a minute or two on how print production works, but some people find this interesting, kind of a peek inside the curtain. So what we first showed you several months ago was this white box. This is a mock-up. I call this a printer's dummy. This is the printer's dummy for what's going to be in the actual box for Terror from the UnderDeep. So you get, let's see, these are three poster maps. You get a page of cardstock tokens, and then you get 4 books. And the purpose of this stage is simply to show construction and materials. It's a chance to identify if you said something on paper, then when you see it, you realize, oh, that paper stock is way too thin or way too slick or way too thick or whatever. So this was stage 1, just the printer dummies. Stage 2 that we showed some of the backers were these printed sheets, which tell you color quality. They're not about materials, but they're about ink and whether or not we think the color is correct or not. And we approved each of these in stages. And what's interesting, and what you can clearly see now, as I show you this, what you can see here is how this would wrap around the box. Does that make sense? So this is how they actually construct these. They print these litho labels and then adhere them around the box, and that is how they get the printed box. So now, as we get to the physical sample here, you can actually see that construction in action. You can see it here on the inside. You can see where the white box has this litho label glued on, and that's what gets you a final box. So that's a brief primer on how the print production process works and why we approve these different stages of that process. All right, thanks everybody. And as a reminder, if you are a backer and you'd like to upgrade to the Clamshell Edition, now's the time to do it. We have to lock those orders soon. Thanks everybody.